I try not to spend too much time on X, formerly known as Twitter, but what I've been seeing a lot recently is the same question being asked probably a couple times a week at this point. And as someone who is really interested in finance and investing, probably 90% of the people that I follow on Twitter are these kind of finance figures, with a lot of them having hundreds of thousands of followers. And this is the question that I keep seeing. Is $5 million enough to retire? And again, I've seen this posted multiple times a week, and I do understand that a lot of these big creators on really any social media platform intentionally make posts like this only to create engagement and get views. So I doubt that most of these posts are actually genuine, but some of the responses are pretty funny. Someone commented and said, "If you say no, you're beyond gone." After seeing this posted multiple times, I kind of wanted to be like these other finance gurus, and as someone who's also pretty famous on X with a whopping 500 followers, I thought I'd post basically the same question, but I wanted to kind of up my game a little bit, so I posted this. Do you think $45 million is enough to retire? And then to that post, someone responded and said, "I don't think so, but $45 million and 3 cents should do the trick." Someone else commented and said, "It's tight, but I can make it work." But in all seriousness, this question is completely up to an individual, their specific financial goals, and how much they typically spend on average each year. So you tell me, is $5 million enough for you to retire right now? So breaking this down, if you had $5 million right now, whether you earned it from your business or maybe you won the lottery or got it from an inheritance, you could put that $5 million right now into really any online high yield savings account and earn 4.3% APY on all that cash. And you'd earn about $215,000 a year, or about $18,000 a month, without having to lift a finger and without decreasing the principal amount. Now, if you were to kind of take it to the next level, you could invest that $5 million into a portfolio of dividend-paying stocks and dividend ETFs. And depending on the portfolio that you create, you could potentially earn an average of around 6 or even 7% each year from the dividends. So with a 6% yield on that portfolio, you'll be earning an average of $300,000 a year, or $25,000 a month, which is the average salary of a doctor, and you'd be earning that just from dividend payments. And that's also not including any capital gains that you would get from that portfolio, and you would of course not have to sell or withdraw any capital. So in my opinion, that's more than enough to retire on, especially for someone like myself who typically doesn't spend that much. Which brings me to the next question of what's the least amount you could potentially retire on? And when I say the least amount you could retire with, I'm referring to right now in 2024, not in 30 years from now when someone like myself will typically retire. So using myself as an example, I would need about $80,000 a year to retire comfortably. I know that some of you might even be thinking that that's a lot more than what you would need, but I do live in a fairly high cost of living area, and I also enjoy going out to eat a lot. In order to make around $80,000 with a dividend stock portfolio yielding an average of 6%, you would need at least $1.35 million invested. And what's actually really interesting about this specific scenario is how little you'd be paying in taxes if you were earning this much in dividend income. According to the IRS for the year of 2023, you would have a 0% tax rate on qualified dividends up to $45,000 a year in dividend income for single taxpayers, and up to $89,000 for married couples filing jointly. For those of you who don't know, I am married. Aww. So if I did hypothetically have that $1.35 million, earning 6% and getting paid $81,000 in dividends, my wife and I would potentially be paying 0% in taxes each year, which is actually pretty cool. And it's also why dividend investing is really powerful, because it is possible to eventually get to that point after years of compounding. So let me know whether or not you guys think that $5 million is enough to retire on, and realistically what your number would need to be if you were to retire today. As always guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.